we will go ahead and get this program started. Thank you all for being here this morning. I know your drive was probably beautiful coming in. So again, thank you for taking the time, and glad everyone. Our wonderful and fabulous Immigrant Affairs team included within our office, and that is our Chief, Miss Juliana Valencia Banks, Miss Rixie Amador, and Miss Yen Ma. And together we make up OCE. And I want to publicly thank all of them for their hard work and commitment to our communities each and every day. And a special thank you to our county executive for continuing to invest in our office and in our community and making this summit happen each and every year. So thank you all, and thank you again, Mr. County Executive. We sold out the summit this year, woohoo! So that's exciting. Over 250 community leaders registered for this summit, and I'm thrilled to see so many leaders here. If this is your first time here this morning, yes, can we get a round of applause for our first timers? Love to see it. Yes, can we get a round of applause for our first timers? Love to see it. Community Leader Summit will provide you with an opportunity to engage with our department heads. We have our new department heads and some seasoned department heads here today, our county staff, our division chiefs, and some of our nonprofit partners as well, like BGE, NeighborSpace, and Interfaith Partners of the Chesapeake. We also have some new breakout sessions this year, including a life-saving naloxone training that'll be hosted by the Elise Andrews in our health department, as well as our HHS team. In your folder that you were given at registration and check-in, it will have the breakout session and today's agenda. We will go over that a little bit later in today's program. Our team will be here throughout the day, so if you need anything from the Office of Community Engagement or you need something here at the Sheridan, please feel free to find one of our team members and we'll be sure to assist you. And now it is my honor to introduce my idol and the woman who continues to move Baltimore County forward, your Baltimore County Administrator, Miss DeAndrea Walker.
You're welcome. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to beautiful Baltimore County. Good morning, everyone. It is an absolute privilege to be here with you today. I'm looking forward to meeting each of you and learning more about your communities and your neighborhood. I am Baltimore County's Administrative Officer. I've had the honor of serving as the CAO since April of this year. Before that, I served as your director of the Department of Public Works and Transportation, where I led a department of nearly 1,000 employees with more than a $500 million operating budget. During my time as the director, I was proud to spearhead transformative initiatives like our bulk trash collection. For the first time, we bought it back. It had not been here since 1992. We brought that back to the neighborhoods. Yep. We also spearheaded the vertical expansion to improve our longevity of our landfills. We also, which this one I'm really proud of, we also launched our Towson Loop here in the Towson area. So that was a few of the initiatives we did while I was the director of DPW&T. These kinds of initiatives can lift up a neighborhood and move our entire county forward. But it is our communities and our community leaders like you all who have been the driving force behind our local government. It's vital to create a seat at the table for all of you, and I'm proud to listen to your ideas, to hear your concerns, and to ensure that you have everything you need to deliver a bright future for our communities. So welcome to your 2024 Community Leadership Summit. I also want to take a moment to thank all my county agencies for being here with us today. Our county agency leaders do a visit all of our department tables and learn more about exciting and equitable opportunities that are available to you. We're looking forward to a fun-filled day of information and partnership and relation building with each of you. Now, for the real reason that I'm up here this morning, to introduce you all to our fearless leader, Mr. County Executive Johnny Olszewski. As many of you know, the CE's leadership is characterized by a commitment to community engagement and transparency in governance. His work includes a strong emphasis on public service and community involvement, and he is known for his approachable style and dedication to addressing the needs of the Baltimore County residents. Hence, our Community Leadership Summit today. So, with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my friend, my boss, and your Baltimore County Executive, Mr. Johnny Olszewski.
Well, good morning, everyone. It is wonderful to be back with so many of you today. Can we have another round of applause for DeAndrea Walker, our amazing Deputy Administrative Officers, Mandy Remmel and her Office of Community Engagement. Thank you, Mandy. And thanks to all of the department heads and partners who are here today. But most importantly, thank you all for coming out. You look great in your swimming trunks this morning. I know we had a great time making our way into Towson. This is really what makes the job so worthwhile, is to know that there are so many amazing community leaders who day in and day out are getting up and grinding for people who might not even know that you're working so hard for them. That you work without pay, you often work without thanks, and you are out there making our neighborhoods stronger and more vibrant. And so I think the least that your government can and should do for you is to invite you into the conversation and listen to those voices that are trying to lift up the amazing neighborhoods across Baltimore County. We'll start by taking a little bit of a look back this morning at where we started almost 6 years ago. Some of you who have attended my town halls are probably sick of seeing this slide. But it's a good reminder that when we came into office, because we didn't have this kind of engagement, this type of transparency, we had gotten ourselves to a place where we had allowed the county to have an inherited structural deficit of over $80 million. And we came together, though, to face not only that, but we also came together because soon after we tackled this challenge, we faced one of the worst health crises of our lifetime, a once-in-a-generation crisis with the COVID-19 pandemic. But in both cases, we engaged with the public, we leveraged the experience of our employees, and we worked with leaders at every level to make sure that we find solutions. And we think that finding solutions is what our work is all about. And so really this is a government that can and should be centered on you, and that is a partnership that has allowed us to put shovels in the ground. We've been able to prioritize long-awaited development, and we've kept our communities at the forefront of our minds. Because of the work we came together, I think it's worth reminding ourselves of what we have all done in this room. So we started with this idea and this notion that we needed to fundamentally reshape how government engaged. And so it really was centered on this idea of public engagement. Oh, can we go back one? No, you got it. Actually, you're on it. Public engagement, trust, and accountability, which is why we created, strengthened, grew, and now have on the charter this November the Office of the Inspector General. It's why we came together to that's right. It's why we created a public financing system for local elections. We are now allowing for more people to have access to run for not just my job, but also for the county council. We want more people to have access to become leaders in this county. It's why we created the Office of Community Engagement, and Mandy and Alonza and OCE have done such a great job of being out there in the community. We created a 311 system that didn't exist before here in Baltimore County. We put forward the county's first open budget platform where you can see down to the paycheck where county resources are going throughout our communities. And perhaps most important has really been this town hall series where we have engaged thousands of residents across Baltimore County to talk about the hopes, dreams, aspirations, and even challenges that we collectively face. And we have faced them together. For me, that has started with education as a bedrock of our future here in Baltimore County, and I've come at this work, as you probably have heard a time or two, as someone who was a teacher in our school system, a former student, but most importantly, as someone who saw a third grader off to the bus yesterday morning and most mornings here in Baltimore County. We're proud that working with all of you, we have invested over $200 million over and above what the state has required in maintenance of effort. That is a really sizable investment over the past 6 years, especially considering the challenges we faced during the COVID-19 pandemic, where our budgets were stretched a little thin. That has allowed us to become among the highest paid teacher starting salary in the state. We have hit the $60,000 starting salary mark 2 years ahead of when it's required by the blueprint. It's allowed us to invest in those other support staff that are so critical, the pupil personnel workers, the counselors, the school psychologists, to help our students. It's allowed us to shrink class size, and it's really allowed us to meet the obligation of allowing every student to reach their God-given potential. In addition to investing in the classroom, we've put forward more than $800 million towards our school infrastructure needs. That has led to over 3,000 new seats for our students. We have 7 brand new schools that have been opened. We have more on the way. This is a plan where we worked with the school system to create a multi-billion-dollar plan to eliminate all trailers and to invest in each and every school across Baltimore County. We haven't just stopped with BCPS and pre-K through 12. We've also continued our partnership with Dr. Kurt Nitis and CCBC, where if you are a family now in Baltimore County making $150,000 or less, and you want to continue your education, you can go to our community colleges absolutely free in Baltimore County. We're very proud of that partnership as well. I promised Director Hickey I'll try not to step on your keynote too much, but housing has become such a foundational thing. That is why I think we have Terry speaking as a keynote today. But it is such an essential part to our community's success, is to have a place to call home. And speaking of home, we're proud that we've done a lot of work in this space. I'll touch on it and let Terry go deeper today, but we know that much like education, having a home is such a critical part of pursuing the American dream. So we were proud to eliminate source of income as a way that people could discriminate on folks having housing. We were proud to pass a foundational housing reform package that created the Housing Opportunities Fund, that eliminates blight in our communities, that we establish smart growth townhome construction guidelines. We're proud to have created a Department of Housing and Community Development, also done in the middle of a pandemic, but we know that we've got further to go, so we've kept pushing. We announced the largest housing deal in Baltimore County, where we're preserving 460 housing units at attainable rates for up to 40 years. So making these homes affordable for people who are already living in our neighborhoods, already serving our students, already serving our residents, but doing so in a way that also uplifts the neighborhoods in which they live, improving the condition of those homes. And just a few weeks ago, we were proud to unanimously pass a vacant tax structure rate. So we will start taxing at a significantly higher rate those homes and those properties that are left blighted, left neglected, so that we can have the funding to continue to go back in and make a difference. DeAndrea mentioned her successes. Some of the things she left out was we restarted glass recycling, and then on the transit front, in addition to launching the Towson Loop and having over 100,000 riders during a pandemic, we've also been able to do more on our county ride service, which is everywhere. We've expanded hours, we've added Saturday service, and we know that transportation is an issue that continues to be a priority for neighborhoods across Baltimore County. We want to continue to work with you so that we can lobby for those state resources to replicate things like the Towson Loop, so that we have loops all over Baltimore County. We also know that a job, education, housing, transportation, but having access to a job is so critical. And so one other place where we've really been proud to lean in is on our public health pathways. This is a partnership with one of our hospital systems where we have worked with St. Joe to really take individuals from across Baltimore County who have been left behind, who didn't have access to the training or the job opportunities. And we have taken individuals who, in some cases, may have had a GED, some may have been leveraging public financial assistance. And we've taken individuals to knock down all of those barriers to success. This program is one where we are paying for transportation and childcare and classes and getting folks to both get their up to their LPN. We're going to have folks who are going to be registered nurses working in our hospital systems that are so needing of those jobs, especially after the wake of COVID. And so we're proud of the ways in which we have found ways to improve the lives and the conditions of our residents in a way that benefits and serves back our communities. Relatedly, I want to thank and applaud our Deputy Administrative Officer for Public Safety, Rebecca Young, for her work on GBMC slides. We've identified funding for a landmark project so that we are expediting testing of cold case sexual assault forensic evidence that was provided by GBMC dating back from the 1970s. This goes back to making sure that every resident feels safe in their communities. And Chief McCullough, thank you for the work that the men and women in the police department do each and every day. But we plan to have the testing of all these slides complete by the end of the year. And we're proud to say our commitment has already resulted in the arrest of individuals whose crimes date back to the 1970s. So Rebecca, thank you for leading that effort as well. I'll just also say we're so proud of and grateful for survivors who have stepped up to bravely share their stories, and to the partners and leaders who have helped us secure the funding for this. In addition to all of this work, one of the places where we think about the promise of a brighter future, perhaps nowhere is that more apparent than in Essex. It's a cherished and tight-knit community that's faced long-standing historical challenges and was only made worse by the impact of the pandemic. Back in 2021, we took a data-driven approach to identify Essex as our first place-based initiative to address these challenges and lift this community back up. We leveraged some of our ARPA funding here to initiate a commercial revitalization effort along the Eastern Avenue corridor. We partnered with Roca Baltimore to do violence intervention for our youth. We've invested in recreation and parks, as well as other new streetscaping initiatives. We're also very proud to have supported the establishment of the Essex Development Corporation, an organization that is bringing together community stakeholders, residents, and businesses to breathe new life. Based on the experience in Essex, though, we knew that this hyper-local targeted intervention can achieve results. And so we're excited that we've already expanded this project to the Dundalk shopping, the historic Dundalk Shopping Center, as well as the Woodlawn Village Center. Much like Essex, we know that Dundalk and Woodlawn have faced historical challenges, but are also amazing communities that are ready to embrace a bright future that matches their potential. And so we're excited to see the successes in these places, even as we look to replicate this type of work across Baltimore County. Now, for too long, we've seen also some of our regional anchors that have also been left behind. And perhaps one of the greatest examples of that is Security Square Mall. A site where 50 years ago you would see a vibrant shopping scene and social scene, but we've seen, unfortunately, decades of disinvestment. And even there, we've gone in partnership with our own speaker from Baltimore County, Adrian Jones, to invest more than $30 million there to both acquire property and prepare the infrastructure to turn Security Square Mall into a vibrant, mixed-use hub with green space and other opportunities. Even as we do that, we're working with the Liberty Road Corridor and the Greater Randallstown Community Development Organization to do other support, business development, and resources. This has really just been, I think, reflective of the fact that so many of you have continued to show up and be part of where we need to go. That's a lot of progress, guys, but it doesn't even scratch the surface of what we've done together. We've been active in every neighborhood across Baltimore County. We can talk about the reimagination of recreation and parks, growing that department by 30%, investing over $200 million in parks across Baltimore County and in open space, $50,000 to support Reisterstown Improvement Association's Main Street manager, supporting our first dedicated A&E district in Catonsville, providing seed funding and over $5 million of capital grants for the Pikesville Armory and the great work happening there. $3.3 million from our Department of Planning for 43 nonprofits and chambers of commerce across our great county, $600,000 for commercial revitalization, $1 million for community improvement grants. Again, just trying to make sure we touch every community, because we know that investments in our communities make a major difference, major difference. But those investments mean nothing if our residents can't navigate their government. And so we're proud to have summits like this. We're proud to have our town halls. We're proud to have programs like BC Stat, which is an amazing function of our government now, where you can go in and see dashboards on any number of issues. There'll be another presentation from BC Stat today talking about the great work that we've done on food pantries and where we might have vacant properties so that we can apply that new tax rate. I'll close by saying I recognize that this could potentially be the last time that I have the privilege and opportunity to address you as county executive. But I guess I'll end where I started. This has been the privilege of a lifetime to be able to represent a county that has done so much for me. I have been given opportunities that I would have never dreamed of because I had the chance to grow up in Baltimore County, to attend schools here, to be the first in my family to go to college, to raise a family. And this county is amazing. This county is amazing because of the people who work here and know that you have dedicated public servants who love what they do and wake up every day, because I tell them they have to, but they wake up every day with a sense of urgency about meeting the needs of our communities. But that sense of urgency and those needs are only known because of all of you. And if you would have told me that we would get this kind of response where Mandy had to say, "I'm sorry, please register sooner next time," or that we would have to remind folks that they have just a minute and a half to give their remarks at town halls, I don't think people would have believed you 6 years ago. And that is a testament to each and every one of you. So for the progress we've made, for the investments that are done and yet to come, we're going to get the road to nowhere done, Shirley. Don't worry. It's going to happen. But for those things done and yet to happen, thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for opening up your homes, your thoughts to me and the folks we work with in county government. I hope that you will continue to push whomever is in this role to not just keep having these forums in the town halls, but to work with you all to deliver the solutions that communities deserve, and that you all should continue to demand, because you do deserve them. So thank you, team, for making today possible. I'm excited about all the content that's set to be delivered. I hope that you guys have the best day. You learn something new. You make some new connections, and look forward to continuing to serve alongside you in whatever role that might be in the years ahead. So thanks so much. God bless everybody. So at this point, I think I'm going to invite OCE Director Mandy Remmel back to come to the stage, and we will formally announce and award our 2024 Community Heroes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right, everyone. We've got something special for you before we get into the heroes really quick. So why isn't this playing? Go figure. Okay, I think that's it. Oops. We tested this, I promise. Where is our AV guy? Let's double check. We'll see it. We'll grab him, and then we'll get this video. We thank you to all of you that shared videos with us. We did a call for submissions because we wanted to create this video for the Heroes segment of the morning, and we had some really great submissions. So thank you to all of you. Let's see.
Is to connect with others
There we
and
go.
learn
All
about
right,
their
we'll start
needs.
it. All right. You know, it's raining, guys. Here we go.
Community to me is to
Everyone's seen that episode of Friends where we have to pivot, so that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to start. So good afternoon, everyone, or good morning again, everyone. We are in the Community Heroes portion of our program. If we can get the video back up and running, we will make sure we show it at the end here. But we're going to start by honoring our 7 district heroes for 2024. We did this for the first time last year, and it was just, we had so many applications that we received from your community constituents giving applications for you and in honor of you. This year we've received over 40 applications for community heroes throughout the district, so really excited for that. So I'm going to start. I'll start with District 1 since not only as the Director of Community Engagement, I serve as District 1, and then each district coordinator will come up here and honor their hero as well. So I'm going to start with District 1, and this community hero is being recognized today as a founding member and president of the Southwest Visions Foundation, an organization working to improve the quality of life for residents in the southwestern Baltimore County area. The Southwest Visions Foundation and Baltimore County have worked together to expand their efforts in neighborhood communities like Lansdowne, Riverview, and Baltimore Highlands, and in coordination with the state and Department of Housing. This community leader continues to be deeply invested in his community as both an advocate and in his neighborhood, and as a coach for the Arbutus Recreation and Parks program. He is my friend, he's my colleague, we've worked together on a lot of programs, and I am honored to introduce John Dillow as our 2024 Community Hero for District 1.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Erica Crouch, District 2 Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator. This community leader being recognized today is a dedicated community advocate and current president of both the Pikesville Township Association and the Pikesville Communities Corporation. Their collaborative efforts with the Pikesville Art Gallery and Arts Festival have connected local students and artists with opportunities to display their work and build new connections. I'm thrilled to announce our 2024 Baltimore County Community Hero for District 2, Deborah Patterson of Pikesville Township.
District 3. Eric Rockel is the current Vice President and Zoning Representative for the Greater Timonium Community Council, an umbrella group of community associations dedicated to improving the quality of life throughout Timonium area. In addition, he has served as a past president for the Lutherville Community Association and has testified in front of countless government agencies to advocate for his community's interests. Eric continues to be a leading voice for District 3 as a guest speaker, columnist, and opinion writer. Eric?
Good morning. This community leader being recognized today is the President and CEO of the Associated Black Charities, an organization dedicated to amplifying the voices of countless residents throughout the Baltimore region. She has also served in leadership positions on the board of directors for Arts-Centric and as board chair of the Color of Crohn's and Chronic Illnesses, where she spearheaded an initiative to promote diversity and address the disparities that our communities face. A dedicated advocate, she continues to use her platform to fight for social justice, equality, and community empowerment. The Daily Record named her as one of Maryland's top 100 women in 2023. I am thrilled and honored to announce our 2024 Baltimore County Community Hero for District 4, Christy Thornton, President and CEO of the Associated Black Charities.
Good morning. I'm Patrick Taylor, the District 5 Community Engagement Coordinator. The community leader being recognized today serves as president of the Perry Hall Improvement Association, where he uses his experience and expertise to advance community interests like the White Marsh Town Center Task Force and the Honeygale Regional Veterans Memorial. To ensure that our veterans receive recognition for their historic sacrifices, he has worked tirelessly to secure the majority of the funds needed for the memorial at no cost to the taxpayer. He's a man who takes pride in supporting his surrounding communities and continues to be a leader and a bold voice for neighbors in need, whether that need is something as small as a community sign or big like a small area plan. I'm thrilled to announce our 2024 Baltimore County Community Hero for District 5 is Pat Keller, President of the Perry Hall Improvement Association.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Catherine Yee, District 6 Community Engagement Coordinator. This community leader is the president of the Northeast Towson Improvement Association and a fierce advocate for historic East Towson, the oldest historically Black community in Baltimore County. Among the many initiatives she has led is the planned Road to Freedom Trail, which will enable residents and visitors to connect with the culture and history of our region at locations such as the Hampton Historic Site. She also serves as a co-leader of the Baltimore County Lynching Memorial Project, as well as a board member of the Maryland Lynching Memorial Project and the Historical Society of Baltimore County. We are thrilled to announce Nancy Goldring as the 2024 Baltimore County Community Hero for District 6. Accepting this award on her behalf is Ms. Gail Gilliam, and we invite Ms. Gail up on stage.
Buenos días. My name is Juliana Valencia Banks, and I serve as the Chief of Immigrant Affairs for Baltimore County. The community leader being recognized today has spent 22 years empowering underserved and immigrant communities by distributing food boxes to those in need, providing vital assistance to neighbors during emergencies, and sharing life-saving information on his very popular social media platforms. He has advocated for essential policies like DACA and the Maryland DREAM Act. He is an active volunteer whose efforts continue to strengthen our communities and celebrate cultural diversity. He is more often than not the first person to arrive and the last person to leave, helping any organization or group that needs support. He is the founder of Crespo Productions, co-founder and former board member of Nuestras Raíces, Inc., and an active member of CAPSI. I am thrilled to announce our 2024 Baltimore County Community Hero for District 7 is Carlos Crespo.
Community to me is to connect with others and learn about their unique interests and talents.
Community is home. It is a sense of pride where we belong, where everyone comes together for the same common goal.
To me, community is a group of people that care about one another. A group of individuals that, whether because they come from the same place or live in the same place or are working towards a common goal, find it in themselves to work together and support each other.
Community is all about neighbors coming together with a shared goal. Keeping our neighborhood strong is important. It's having pride in where we live. It's about building communities where everyone's voice matters. When we work together, we create real change, making our communities a place where we feel safe, respected, and proud to call home.
Community means home.
Inclusion.
Strength.
Involvement.
Belonging. Support. Diversity.
Culture.
Family. Collaboration. Unity.
People.
To me, community is all about caring enough to connect with our neighbors even if they are different, caring enough to celebrate in their joys and empathize with them through their hardships. Community is all about caring enough to see a need and to do something about that need.
Yay, all right. And Community to us is each and every one of you in this room and all of our constituents in Baltimore County. So I want to thank you all again for everything that you do to make this amazing event happen and day in and day out in each of your communities. And you all are community heroes in our eyes as well. So thank you again for everything you do. And thank you, Mr. County Executive, for your remarks this morning. It is my honor now to turn it over to your keynote speaker. And we are thrilled to have Director Terry Hickey here with us today. He is from the Department of Housing and Community Development, and he is going to give you the housing, presenting today on housing and a shared vision for the future here in Baltimore County. So, Terry?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. I don't have slides. We're just going to have a conversation, and we're going to see where it goes on an exciting topic.
Community to me is to connect with others.
There's my
and learn
playoff
about
music.
their
Thank you, everybody, very much.
Community is home.
Did I hit it?
It is a sense.
Quickest speech ever. While Mandy's doing that, I'll reintroduce myself. I'm Terry Hickey. I have the proud honor of having been appointed by the county executive and the council to be the first ever director of the county's Department of Housing and Community Development. I'm not that old. I'm the first because we've only been around since 2021. We came into being right before the pandemic, and we had the ability to form a really important group during a really trying time. Just a personal note, I very early in my career was an HOA president and a community association president. So I both appreciate, sympathize, and very, very proud of all the work you do for your community. I've been on both sides. I didn't enter government service until later in my life. I spent most of my career working in nonprofits, mostly with children. Housing mattered to me for personal reasons growing up. You ever notice how sometimes you gravitate towards things that have personal ties to you? I started in the city in government service, introduced to the homelessness system as I got to run that system for many years, met a lot of people that their career and their personal lives were really intertwined. So I will say, the joke is I like to talk about housing, but really housing to me personally is very important. I don't have all the answers. This isn't if you came today to hopefully hear me say, I've got it all figured out, we don't. Today is really meant to be a conversation. I want to lay out a little bit about what we do. I think, you see the housing and community development, but our department's very community facing. I know many of you because we've interacted around issues in your neighborhoods, or my team has come out to help with situations you were dealing with. So we're both very constituent focused and also charged with moving forward a topic that, for better or worse, has become somewhat controversial, but my hope today is to kind of find common ground in the discussion and get input from you. So these are going to be comments, but I really hope that afterwards there's suggestions, thoughts, ideas, and please, I've met some of you, I haven't met all of you. After this, I really hope that there's an opportunity to have me and my team out to your community associations, do a neighborhood walk, talk about the things going on, get your suggestions directly. So I'm going to start telling you a little bit about DHCD. Many of the different functions we have, you may know, were scattered throughout county government. How many remember community conservation? I still get fond stories about all the work that they did. So a number of our functions came from community conservation. We absorbed some groups from Health and Human Services, from planning and the like. The county executive had a vision, and the vision was simple. One team focused on all aspects of housing under one umbrella. And it's a really big umbrella. And I want to talk a little bit about what's there. Our homeless services team supports homeless prevention, outreach, emergency shelters, short-term rental assistance, and permanent supportive housing for veterans, seniors, and other vulnerable people. Think of our team as helping drive policy, helping make sure that funding gets to the folks doing the work. But what I've also noticed, and the county exec directed us to really be clear about this, when I came in, if there were issues with homelessness in neighborhoods, what we found is depending on who you knew and where you were, you could be calling a completely different department for help. And so we now have a single person, Sade Campbell, who works to coordinate across county government and with neighborhoods issues related to homelessness out in the community. So again, it's about accessibility, communication, and just being there sometimes to help educate folks as to what's going on. On the opposite side of that spectrum, we've got our housing finance team. They are, think of it as almost an investment bank in the middle of county government. Their job is to find deals, work with community, invest in everything from new housing production to single-family homes, to provide, excuse me, to provide accessible features in homes so seniors can continue to age in place, and also to help with lead abatement. Across the board, working continuously. Many of you know our chief, Marcia Williams, who's been with county government for quite some time. Almost every day I'm signing off on single-family homes, rehab, and others to help people stay in their homes and fix crucial issues. Our Office of Housing provides monthly assistance to more than 6,000 families, generating at least 10 to 15 new home ownership families every year. Our housing stability team started during the pandemic, helped avert over 9,500 evictions in a 2-year period, and now, and most DHCDs don't have a housing stability team, what we focus on are how to keep people already housed in the housing they have. That could be anything from seniors at risk of losing housing and tax sale. It could be continuing post-COVID to keep an eye on foreclosure rates and what's happening, because we know this, right? It's hard to get housing. We're going to talk about that today. But what's really disappointing is people that have secure housing that lose it. So how do we manage to keep people in their homes? We are still one of the few counties offering free legal services for tenants and landlords to try to mediate disputes. You know that there isn't much money left from the COVID rental assistance funds. So what we focus on now is how to find common ground between tenants and landlords to keep landlords continuing to get revenue and to keep tenants in place. Our team, you might not know this part, our grants management team is pretty quiet. Some of you probably are affiliated with some of these nonprofit groups, but we are, in many ways, a large foundation inside county government supporting nonprofits and community groups across the county. We invest millions of dollars a year through a variety of competitive grant programs. You might know some of them: Maryland Food Bank, League for People with Disabilities, Associated Catholic Charities, and the Community Assistance Network. We invest in, and this is pretty unusual, we know that there isn't the same kind of philanthropic support for nonprofits in the county that there are in the Baltimore metro area. And so many nonprofits in this county depend on our team for their basic operational funds to keep them going to do the work. Now, that's what we do on a daily basis. It's a lot. We have a table outside. I hope everybody has a chance to stop by. The biggest thing is how you interact with us. But they didn't make me the keynote. It's very ominous, the keynote. They didn't let me do this because I was going to talk just about what the agency does on a day-to-day basis. What I want to talk about is this much bigger issue that's obviously gotten a lot more publicity now, although we know it's been an issue as long as there's been issues, and that's housing. Specifically, the concept of a shortage of housing in our region, and I want to really emphasize this. How do we approach the issue collaboratively and collectively? When I got into housing, when I got into homeless services, I thought, you know, everybody agrees there shouldn't be homelessness. This is going to be the easiest job ever. Then I realized the truth was, it's where you put resources. It's how you balance needs of community and needs of the people that are involved. It was, and I did juvenile justice work for years. Homeless services was the most complicated issue I'd ever worked on in my entire career. And if you look at any newspaper of any major city, I can't find any place that's really solved it. With the county exec's leadership, mathematically, and I want to stress mathematically, we are on course, for instance, to end veterans' homelessness in Baltimore County in the next year. We would be the second, thank you. We would be the second county in Maryland to do that. Now, mathematically, that's government speak. What does he mean? It means you're never going to end homelessness completely. You know, It's hopelessly tied up at times in ideas related to mental illness, supply and demand, access to medical care, wages, jobs, migration of people, so many different things. But when I say mathematically, and this goes back to the housing point, you need to have the resources, you need to have the people on the streets to connect people with the resources, so anybody who is choosing to try to get out of their situation, to end their homelessness, has a place to go. And that doesn't just mean shelters. I will say, and I know there's some mixed feelings about this, Baltimore County has one of the best sheltering systems in the state of Maryland. That said, it is not a solution to homelessness, right? There's a lot going on the streets and in our communities and in those shelters every single day, but the idea is to marshal the resources so that people that choose to take advantage. So what do? We invest in outreach. We've doubled the amount of outreach on the streets, but it comes back to supply and housing and where people go, and that pragmatic idea that people don't go from the streets to housing without the need for help. It's also this pragmatic idea that, and I'm going to echo the county executive on this, I don't see myself and my role here as pushing, driving, forcing this idea of affordable housing. I will say this, we have, and we can engage in a dialogue if anybody sees it from a different statistical perspective, but we have a shortage of housing, period, that trickles down into every other group that's looking. So when I have conversations about housing, it's about people's children who can't afford to move back here after they graduate college. It's about adult kids who can't move out of the house. It's about my senior parents who either don't have the resources to age in place or find themselves, and I see this every day, competing with college grads and others for the same limited housing. So at some level, it's not political, it's mathematical, but the real challenge and what keeps me up every night and makes me excited to go to work is we've got to find a way to do it. The secret is not to make it a fight, not to make it adversarial, but to find ways that we can uplift things everybody wants and include housing in that bucket, not making housing sort of that linchpin. So I'm going to do something a little weird. I'm not going to start talking about housing stats. I want to take a step back. You collectively are the vision for Baltimore County. It's what you do every day as community leaders. You go to meetings, you talk to your neighbors, you have your own experiences. You know what you want Baltimore County to be. Every meeting I go to, community leaders tell me, this is what I want to see in my county. This is what I like, it's why I moved here. This is what I don't like, I need help changing it. But let's think about what, and this is all coming from what we've held focus groups. This is what we've been told. Visualize what people love about the county. It's schools, access to parks, green space. It's wonderful recreation opportunities. Could be libraries, our excellent senior centers. Could be the availability of shopping, restaurants, entertainment. The sense of community from knowing your neighbors and living in a place where people genuinely care about each other and have each other's backs. We saw that during COVID. We see it every day now. It's what you do every day with and for your neighbors. Now, in the context of the vision, if we're thinking, what do we want for a strong, thriving Baltimore County, let's get back to the housing issue. Is it possible to find a collective vision that finds a place for housing and all the things that I just talked about? Is there a way for housing to complement that, not compete with those interests? Can we align with things you love about Baltimore County? I think it's in those conversations, not policy and all statistics and what you have to do and what we're going to make neighborhoods absorb. It's in the conversations about that that we're going to find some common ground on the issue. What I see oftentimes is the daily need for housing. So I'm generally focused on piece of it is, again, the help on the other side for how we use housing production to contribute to positive change. So let's think about this for a minute, because this is what is in the numbers. Housing can attract new residents and businesses. It can also help establish existing residents, which contribute to a growing tax base. That tax base is what generates the resources for the public facilities, schools, infrastructure, green space, libraries, senior centers. The things that we love are driven by revenue. Housing, growth of population over time, housing in commercial hubs near transportation can help local companies hire and retain folks that are living there. It's a simple equation. Now, attracting new businesses are often based on having the employees in the area that are there to work. We're seeing greater and greater commute times in the Baltimore County area. We're starting to see more employers saying, we just aren't sure if we locate here that there's going to be a radius of employees that we want to hire that are going to be able to get here. I'm amazed when I look at the national stories. People are turning down if they can afford to live there. And that's not at all unique to Baltimore County. Much worse in other places. But imagine getting the job of your dreams and not being able to move to that place because you did a quick search and you weren't sure where you were going to live. Part of it's expense, part of it's location, and we know that there's a lot going into these factors. It isn't all about housing production. But take another economic level. If we provide homes for potential employees and increase production, it ultimately makes rents and mortgages more manageable. There's a lot of talk, bring up a controversial issue. People talk about rent caps in the media all the time. We should cap rent. People can only charge a certain thing. The real data shows that's really, really bad for local economies. It's been tried some places, it rarely works. How do you keep costs of rentals low? How do you keep mortgages and home prices down? It's production. I did not do very well in college economics. I did worse in stats. But I spend a lot of time reading what's going on around the country, and there's a direct proportional relationship between access to housing and the cost of rents, the cost of mortgages, the cost of accessing housing. So for some of you, more housing options may translate to opportunities for children finishing college and living back in the communities as they grew up. Fun fact, Treasury Department shows that nationally, adults aged 20 to 34 living with 25 to 34 living with a parent has gone up nationwide from about 11% in 2000 to 16% now. So we're seeing that's trending up. So we're seeing more children at 25 to 35 age continuing to live at home. At the other end of the spectrum, as I mentioned before, older parents have a better chance of needing a place to call home if there are more resources allocated to housing, and you're taking pressure off the housing market. So if you think about it, that's why I don't get up in the morning thinking about where am I going to try to find affordable housing. It's how are we going to increase access to housing. The market forces, life will kind of take it from there. Our job is to just help invest in the systems in the right places. And I haven't talked enough about home ownership. Lease to own is a growing concept in this country. I think what troubles me is I'm watching national trends where we don't have housing immediately, and that could be through townhomes, it could be through small multi-family buildings. There is incredible pressure now in the market for investors to buy single-family homes. So what we're seeing around the country is, and I'm not talking like I'm doing some day trading and I want to invest in a house in my neighborhood. We're talking about millionaires buying fractional ownership in companies that go out and buy homes. Remember the housing mortgage crash of the 2008 era? Those thousands and thousands of mortgages were paper that were bought, which led to the crash. Everybody ever wondered what happened to all that paper? What happened is the investors realized they were carrying all these homes, many of which are vacant. They realized that if they could corner the market on housing management, they could keep the properties. That was the boom around the country of single-family home renters. So now it's a mathematical formula. There's a reason my original hometown of Rochester, New York, is leading the country in the housing market right now for housing prices because they were low enough. Investors bought them up and are flipping them from home ownership or keeping them for rentals. And so the more pressure on our housing market, the more of a chance that our single-family home communities that we cherish will slowly be eroded by being bought on by investors and just rentals. It's all tied together as this point. There's no perfect answer, but it's working on this together. So I think to go back to my original point, we can find ways Baltimore County can be the place that bridges this gap between the vibrancy that we want forces sweeping the country as it relates to housing. And I and my team are up for the challenge of having hard conversations to figure out how to do it. And we have found ways to make things work. I think what gets a lot of press are battles over policy and legislation. But quietly every day, having really conversations about how to do housing. And one of the ways we do that is something the county executive has talked about quite a bit, which is uplift. We have a responsibility not just to spout statistics to you about how we need housing. By the way, we are going to be partnering with the University of Pennsylvania. Believe it or not, we talk about it so much, from that. But we need to talk uplift. If there's going to be housing production in your area, from that. But we need to talk uplift. If there's going to be housing production in your area, what is the trade-off? Will we be investing in infrastructure? We are at an amazing point in time in history where the federal government knows that we need housing, but knows they shouldn't be interfering right away. So what are they doing? They're pumping resources into the pipeline. Green energy resources, retrofitting resources, infrastructure development. The infrastructure reform act didn't go the way we all hoped, but there is still billions of dollars in the pipeline. So that when we start talking very upstream about housing, we should be talking about investments in the things that will bear the burden of additional people in the county. But if we agree that the county needs to continue to grow, those people need a place to live and we need to invest in infrastructure. That's something the county executive has been emphasizing from the beginning, and we will carry on. Two quick examples, because we are doing good housing work. The first deal that I was able to get done is in Roseville with a major, very well-known enterprise community development company. The community wanted senior housing. We have a federal agreement that says we need to do family housing. So we met with the neighborhood, not easy conversations. It was the first live meeting I went to after COVID. And what we came up with was an intergenerational project. A small tower for 80 seniors in a community that desperately need high-quality housing, surrounded by 40 townhomes for families. Not only do you have the best of both worlds, you have shared space, recreational space, green space, and think about this. I'm a single parent in that home. I have a chance to forge relationships with the seniors in that building, and now we've created everything from childcare to interplay, role models. We've created community. So the other one I wanted to talk about is up in the Lock Raven area. There is a few hotels that have a significant number of police calls every year. Years and years have been talked about what to do about these hotels. But you've got a private marketplace, right? Hotels owned by private owners. Working feverishly with development partners, council members, business owners, and everyone. Finally, a developer was able to get a contract in place for the Days Inn, which will be purchased, demolished, and a beautiful community built right on that corner with shared recreation space, space for nonprofits to do youth and community trainings. And it's going to be the linchpin, the driver of economic revitalization down that corridor. But what did it take? A lot of communication up front, a lot of discussion about pros and cons, give and take, and at the end of the day, what is the uplift on that corner? Ironically, at any given time, a quarter of the residents of that hotel are families who couldn't find housing, whose children go to those local schools, and that hotel was the only place they could live. So they're raising children, going to our schools, while watching at least an average of one police call a day. Our goal is to work with the developer and the community and nonprofits we fund to make sure that every family that has been forced to live in that hotel has some option and isn't left homeless because of this, and maybe, just maybe, has a chance to someday live in one of the apartments in that community with folks that were their neighbors who never knew it. So I do just want to quickly give a few statistics are important, and I think it drives some of the conversation. According to the Treasury Department, in the last 25 years, if you adjust for inflation, the cost of renting has gone up over 20%. The cost of home ownership, this one got me. The cost of home ownership has gone up about 65%. I'm using national numbers. Baltimore County is at or a little above the national mean, so it applies here. If that doesn't sound scary enough, if you look at the same quarter of a century, adjust for inflation, median household income is almost exactly the same as it was in 2000, 24 years ago. So this is an economics issue. People are being left behind wage-wise while the market is driving the prices of housing. So we can think about how people got where they are, but facts are important. More than half of U.S. renters, half of Baltimore County renters, are cost burdened. It means, and I did the math for my own family last night, they spend over a third of their income on just housing. That's what makes you rent burdened. A third of those, extremely rent burdened. Over half of their take-home income goes directly to housing. On the production side, Maryland has a shortage of at least 96,000 homes. That's conservative. We think it may be as high as 150,000. At least 103 county households are struggling with mortgage and rent costs. The Baltimore-Columbia, Towson, that's the way HUD sees us, is in the top 10 of 90 days or more behind in mortgages. So we're starting to see the pressures creeping up as we go. I talked about the wage issue, but I want to localize it for you. In Baltimore County, the wage needed, and these are current numbers, the wage needed to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment, so Class B, two-bedroom apartment at average rents is at least $37 an hour. That is well above any conversation about minimum wage. And in fact, when you look at county employees, when you look at most of our essential workers, $37 an hour far eclipses what any of these folks are going to make in the foreseeable future. I'll turn it around. On average in Maryland, this is Maryland, in order to afford a modest two-bedroom apartment, including rent and utilities, without paying more than 30% of your income on housing, you have to earn at least $76,000 a year. And we talk a lot about people that are low income and we consider them established, but think about what it takes in life to get to that benchmark and the pressure on the housing market from people just starting their careers trying to get there. They're all competing again for the same housing. I understand that the term housing, if you just say housing, has baggage to it. I get it. Trust me, whoa, do I get it. And I didn't come to Baltimore County to get a job where I get to argue with folks about my vision of housing, right? I do continuously like to point out that when we talk about the who in housing, the who is everybody. The who is our neighbors. The who are our teachers, and we talk about teachers, firefighters, and police. With some wage growth, they've started to creep out of that hole, but all of the essential workers we talked about in the pandemic are well within that gap. When we talk about affordable housing, when I do a deal with a developer, which means, if any of you bought a car lately, it's kind of rough buying a car, but you walk into that dealership and you pick the level of car that you can afford. I don't buy new cars, but I've never gone in and bought, like, give me the loaded one with everything. I buy the one that suits me. Housing falls into kind of a weird space because you want to look for the housing that suits you, but it's all going to be kind of stacked together. We can't put the housing, like, I don't go to a car dealership for people who can't afford the loaded version. I go to a dealership and they lead me to the car that suits me. We need to have a structure where people can be led and find the housing that suits them. I don't hand out subsidies generally to people to go find that housing. I find developers willing to work with us who still need to make a profit, and I will invest money that allows the developer to balance their sheet over time if they can charge slightly less for different units over a 40-year period. So on paper, it's math. The developers, trust me, don't approach this as a social service. It's an investment protocol. It's how do we do this smartly and get the most bang for our buck, because investing in the deal, now we can spread that, remember, that whole impact to everything else that's going on in the county. So when I talk affordable housing, we're starting with that. We call it AMI, right? Area median income. We talk about 80%. If you're at 80%, we put numbers on people and we say it's people, but they're people. And if you're at 80% AMI, family of four, that's about $100,000 a year. So if you are a family of four making about $100,000 a year, your wife or husband maybe is staying at home, so you have a single income, well, you are the people we talk about need affordable housing. And everybody needs something they can afford. The county exec has talked a lot about how housing needs to be attainable, how we do housing that is affordable for whoever wants it, wherever they want it in the county. So for this conversation, if we can at least collectively agree that there is pretty good evidence we need more housing production, if we can agree, economically speaking, that a lack of housing leads to negative outcomes and prohibits growth, if we can get there, I will sit at any table and have any conversation about the how we make it work in a way that balances out the needs that you represent when you speak for your communities. So I hope, very much hope, that these conversations continue. See me as somebody you can come to say, I don't get this. I mean, I have sat down with sophisticated developers and spent 3 hours explaining how our investment model works. We have had developers that think to invest in affordable housing, we show up with a folder of 300 vouchers and hand them over. That is not at all how any of it works. So if you want to sit down and talk about how it works, I won't bore you today, but if you've really got questions about housing, housing production, impact, the who, the what, if you have ideas for the how, I really want to have those conversations. So please welcome me in. Please come to our office and talk. We'll do it in any way we need to. But I really believe, and I hope it starts today, that the conversation about shared values, shared interests, shared priorities, and how we use investment to drive a vibrant Baltimore County simply
abolished by President 45 and was never reinstated or looked at. Elijah Cummings is dead. He supported it. Kwesi is idle, needs to take a seat on the French Riviera. But it really helps people to prevent foreclosure. Anybody can have a crisis, and it can cause foreclosure. Without this act, you don't get any help as a homeowner. Look it up.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a question. My name is Angela, and I'm from the Emerson Heights community, and we have a senior building that's there. It's privately run, and some of the individuals in there are using housing vouchers. So my question is, how would an individual that needed to report the slumlord there, if they're using a voucher and they're not getting any assistance, and there, you just mentioned something about the rising of the cost that's going up. Their rising of the cost is going up, but the benefits of them, of what they were accustomed to having in the building has decreased, like no hot water in some units, no maintenance there, and then the property is steadily going down. So is there a process where the tenants there can reach out because they are on housing, or the ones that aren't? How is that, how can they get assistance?
Sure. That's a great question. We spend a lot of time inside county government because DHCD, so if you look at the city or others, oftentimes DHCD has the housing inspection within it, like the city does. Here we have an amazing group of folks, Director Gutwald's team at PAI, so we work closely with them. We take it seriously, so any of our landlords and any of our programs, we make sure that PAI knows if we get complaints about the conditions. So certainly those can be reported to code enforcement. But if they're funded in any way, shape, or form through our programs, we do have some leverage. So if anybody has issues in the community, you want to report to us directly. And if it isn't a fit for us, I'll get it to the person it needs to. It's DHCD @ and then the county email address. That goes right. We have a full-time person who spends a lot of time checking and responding to those. But we do, something that concerns me a great deal moving forward are the conditions of some of our neighborhoods that already exist, that people already live in. It's a much bigger challenge, but something we're really trying to think about how we can leverage resources. But please let us know what's going on out there.
We do have time for more questions if anybody has one.
I've kind of known the answer so far, so I'm just going to get
my
out while I
name's
still
Sam.
could.
Hi, my name's Sam Weaver, and I'm with the Essex CDC and 15 other organizations. But my question to you is, all the things going down on at Trade Point Atlantic and now at Glen L. Martin's and the 43 corridor, is there somebody that we can coordinate the housing? You said people want to live near their jobs. Well, there's thousands of jobs being created. Is there somebody that can make the connection with the housing needs in the areas that are close enough around there, like Essex, to help support that?
So a couple things. Really good question. I actually very much appreciate that. We talk a lot about how the county exec formed my department so that we could be more efficient. One of the other things that came of this, though, was at all of these different meetings and things going on in the county, there needs to be a really annoying person like me at the table going, but what about housing? I mean, economic development, what about housing? So I'm the guy that goes, what about housing? We actually have meetings set up with TPA to talk about, we have the VCA that we talk about, the agreement with HUD. That's really, we can only do deals in very specific parts of the county. But what I recognize, the VCA won't be around forever. We're hoping that it will be resolved relatively soon. It's areas like you're talking about that may not have been considered areas of opportunity in 2016 that desperately need to connect housing and jobs. So we've taken meetings with everybody from Habitat for Humanity, people that own property. We're going to be sitting down with the TPA team, which doesn't develop housing but has an interest. And I hope we have some good news that come out of all these conversations, because I'm going to try to connect the housing to where we have the land and where we have the jobs that will tie to the housing. So. Oh, yeah. Right. And I want a significant I want a significant portion of any housing that goes there to be a path to homeownership. You want to build long-term community, long-term wealth. It doesn't always have to be about rental.
Right over here, Director.
Hi.
Hi, good morning. My name is Jaquista Powell. I'm the president of the Evanston Heights Civic Association. Is your department the department to discuss issues with the voucher program?
Yes.
Is there a point of contact? I understand that you wouldn't be the person to fill all of the questions and people have to come to you. Is there a point of contact?
I get voucher questions every day. I handle what I can, and we have a really good team. We just have so much chaotic communication. That DHCD email address, DHCD at, and then the Baltimore County, that will come to Essence Cropper, who will make sure that I get the voucher questions, and then I review all those questions with the head of the voucher office. I will say this, ton of rules related to vouchers, so oftentimes it's about explaining what happened or why, but also oftentimes it's something we didn't get to as we should, and we fix it as quickly as we can. So issues like that, send to DHCD, and we'll get them routed, and you will get a response.
Okay, I wouldn't have questions, but as far as the community is involved, I would have, I guess, complaints, or I guess questions about, is there capacity in a community? But
oh, sure. You're talking about like capacity as it relates to voucher use?
yes, in the sections, in the different
Right.
sections, in the different
I mean, one of the challenges we face, and we started, if you're a data person, we've actually one of the only counties that started mapping voucher data to kind of see, because remember, the voucher program was set up, we didn't join till the 80s, but the voucher program, used to be a certificate program, was set up to give people absolute choice. So you get a voucher, you use it in the market wherever you can. In fact, a lot of people leave the county. Most folks don't know that. You can take your voucher and go to Colorado. You just port it to the PHA in that district. So we don't, for instance, direct them to certain neighborhoods. If there are more units available, it could be, and so what we're doing is we're mapping where, it's information we can't share publicly, but we map it so we can start to see if people are going to a certain place, why, we want to understand it, and do we need to start making infrastructure investments in those neighborhoods? I will say, and I'm just going to make my one commercial, not to be controversial, but I do get complaints all the time about bad neighbors and the voucher program. And I can't tell you that's a voucher household. But I can tell you in 4 years, only 1 or 2 of the complaints I got were actually a voucher household. They were this really, we have a technical term, they're called bad neighbors. And I take bad neighbors really, really seriously. So I personally reach out to the police. We have an integrity unit. If that family does belong to a voucher program, they have a host of rules they need. But if I'm a I just think about this. If I'm a family that waited 10, 15 years to get a housing voucher, am I gonna go, the first thing I do is to be a horrible neighbor and lose my voucher? Because that can happen. And so we take it really seriously. If you've got a bad landlord, if you've got a bad neighbor, we make sure that the right agencies know about it, and we come down hard, because it's not good for my program to have people thinking it's a cause of chaos in their community. So please never think twice about reaching out. Just know that it isn't always what you think it is.
Right here, Director.
Hi, my name is Shirley Gregory. I'm with the St. Helena Community Association located in Dundalk. One of the problems that we have is St. Helena is a community that is split between the city-county line. We have homelessness that is rampant within our community. We actually had a homeless camp that was camped out on Dundalk Avenue for
Very aware.
yes, for a very long time that we fought. And we finally got them dispersed, but now they have dispersed within the St. Helena's woods. Part of the woods is in the city, the other part's in the county. So they'll come to the county to do their begging, and then they go back into the woods, which could be the city. But is there any way that we could work with the city and the county together to see about relocating these people, because they're setting up tents and they're in parks where kids are playing?
This is,
and they're setting up on Dundalk Avenue again.
Again, right.
Yes.
This is the hardest conversation. Like I'm glad you asked it because it is one of the hardest things that I have to deal with as the head of an agency that has a responsibility, right? Like we're the ones that disperse the resources. I often say we're not human being relocators. One of the more frustrating things is we have a broken mental health system. We have people that have addiction. I read the outreach reports, so I was very involved. We really worked hard to get the city to take that encampment seriously. So I will say the county executive was on me every day. My team was on the mayor's office, and we made sure there are limits to anything. When we say we want time to work with an encampment, when non-residents are, I know what that encampment was doing to your community. And you saw what ended up happening. We've increased our outreach capacity so that we are there constantly. We are trying to make adjustments. We now have an interagency regular meeting where we discuss these, because things get lost between departments. The gazebo in the park had active electrical outlets that were being used to charge phones. We were making it attractive. So a lot of these things happen, but I will say it is so incredibly hard in this environment to get people to trust us. So you will see, very fairly, you will see a disruption in your community. You see potential safety issues. A lot of the folks we interact with actually grew up in the areas where they're now homeless and lost their housing, and they never left like a 5-mile radius, and they won't come to shelter. And it's hard to do immediate housing. The job I have to do, and I just want to make this commitment to you, I have to work with you and your community to balance safety and these other issues to give me enough time to win the trust of the people on the street to get them to come in. Oftentimes we do a better job in the winter, and we've got a much better freezing weather shelter system. But I've seen people in the Towson area arrested for sleeping in the wrong place, and they're back 2 days later in a place that is worse than they were when they were arrested, and now they're off their medication. And so I'd love to come out and we can do a walk. My team is so aware of what's going on. I'm saying all this just for you all to know how complicated this is. I really do lose sleep over it, but we're going to keep trying and keep communicating, and we'll keep talking about what's going on, and I'm aware.
Right over here, Director, in the corner.
Mr. Hickey and audience, I'm trying to help people reduce their property tax debt by having the announcements that come on public television and radio broadened. Because as of now, it only says that if you work and file your taxes, you can have access to the homeowner's tax credit. Well, a person that doesn't work, or a person who has low income, is also eligible. And they need it the most too. So can you kind of like broaden your audience to tell them that those types of people in the population are eligible and can access it, and will get a sizable reduction in their home property taxes? Right now, I've run into so many people that don't even know it exists.
That's a great point. We can do more to educate folks on that. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dr. Lisa Norton. I'm a community school facilitator with Baltimore County Public Schools, and I'm also, more importantly, a parent of two.
Need to invest in infrastructure. I think I need to invest in infrastructure. I think I will say personally, so we're one piece of a much bigger conversation. And it's often frustrating because I have to sit on the sideline and watch these policy debates about APFO and other things and say, I get it. Like I hear both sides. At the end, though, how do I fit in? Like, how does our strategy fit into these? So we obviously have a process. We have laws on this. I've never been able to get a housing development project off the ground where it was in the footprint of an extremely crowded school. Like the ones I'm talking about are ones where we found, like, think about this. In the middle of the worst time in history to build anything, as expensive as it is, with all these other issues, we're still managing to get housing done because developers have finally become a attuned to the idea that they need to find the deals and bring to us where we don't even have to get into the question you just asked because we have capacity. I'm lucky to work for a county that does invest in schools, and so at least we have a pipeline of infrastructure going. But I also think, remember, for a new construction development, it's going to take me from concept, like before you even get to the development plan, it's going to be 2 years haggling over investment. Before you even get to the development plan, it's going to be 2 years haggling over investment. There's a lot of time to talk about the other investment that has to go into school. So if we really want to do a project and there's failing traffic sheds, there's watershed issues, there's school crowding, we have to look at that at the same time we look at how we rate that. And in fact, when we look at deals, we look at all of those things in one place. So like I don't get to dictate deals, we look at all of those things in one place. So like I don't get to dictate what you're talking about. You need to know that I respect that we don't discount the issues and say, well, too bad, you just got to do housing because we have to. But I'm trying to navigate that and find good sites. So all the deals we have lined up are either in places we found that can handle capacity, and by the way, I will say in places we found that can handle capacity, and by the way, I will say this, we have to talk about true capacity. Like there are ways to rate. It's not what folks always think it is, the impact it's going to have on a local school. The development we're going to do in Lochraven, there's a number of folks in that community that'll qualify that already go to those schools. So we have to have like real conversations around real data. But at the end of the day, I don't want to fight to put up housing. But if there's, I saw AFO play out. I'd love to have more like just one-on-one conversations about schools and areas we're doing deals and see where we can find some common ground. Thanks for raising it, though.
Just one more question, last one.
Excuse me.
Hi.
I'm Susan Williams. I'm from the Pikesville area. We have 2 hotels in our area that are used for families and people who need housing or help of some kind. And the issues we've had are that the property owners don't maintain the property. We chronically have police calls because of the people who are residing there. Some of our community members have gone into the buildings, and they're terrible places for anyone to be living, much less vulnerable populations. So I'm concerned about what services come with, that you're not just saying, oh, good, I finally got somebody in housing, because it's not helping the people who reside there other than they're not getting rained on. Right. And then the other issue is when group residential facilities pop up and we have no idea whether it's licensed or not or zoned properly or not. And again, you're dealing with vulnerable populations. And I used to live and work in the city, and we always made sure that when group residential care facilities went in, we made sure the community presidents and the head of the place had phone numbers. So if so-and-so was out doing something destructive or whatever, you could just call them and work it out. But I'm just really concerned that there aren't enough support services and that the people who are profiting from this situation are not maintaining like basic fire codes and sanitation.
Okay, so you raised like 5 of the most important issues I've been thinking about in one thing. So let me do this. I know they're gonna hook me off the stage in a sec, but I don't want to go without addressing this. So number 1, because I've started to hear more about Pikesville and hotels, and I've gotten several in the last few days. Invite me out. Invite me out. No, invite me out, and we've done community walks. We'll get the right people together, and we'll go. I will say this, and if I turn out to be wrong, then I will publicly admit that I'm wrong. We have a very strict, some would say too strict, homeless services structure, and we don't have enough money. We don't have, so I'm going to make a plug, I get to do that. We don't have enough housing, which is why people are living in hotels, and that's horrible. It is not, I will say, HUD sees a family in a hotel, though, is no longer homeless. And when people do go to hotels, I have to take them off my list to house because technically they're housed. So it's a messy system that we try to navigate on a regular basis. We do not fund any organization with the purpose of finding permanent housing and pay them to be okay to put them in a hotel. There are domestic violence programs and others that are forced to use emergency hotels to triage and get people out of dangerous situations, but they are blanketed with services. We do not fund any organization to do permanent housing that also does not get the services or the money to provide the services. If you have people, and I'm just going to say this, if you have people living in hotels who are there because they were placed there by a program, then either it's not at our, they're not doing it with us, they're not doing it with our money. During the pandemic, the city relocated hundreds of residents to certain hotels in the county from homeless shelters and never told us. And I spent months untangling that. So invite me out so I can figure out what's really going on and who they are and where they're coming from. Let's get folks the help, but also, I did just mention we helped a group buy a hotel, and we're going to turn it, but if I come out to your community and you have a really bad hotel and you have living situations, and at least let me talk to you about some form of reasonable housing production in that area could alleviate the problem. Let's hold me accountable for dealing with the problem, and then let's talk about some long-term stuff, but let's start by me coming out. And then we can work on it together. Okay.